Are we going to be locking in our position, or are we going to be having opportunities to take advantage of a trading opportunity for today? So first of all, we have the US oil here, which is going to be the first pair we are going to be looking at today. What I want to do right now is to scale up to the daily time frame. I want us to have an holistic view of what is really going on in this market. First of all, this morning, before we scale down to the daily, to the 1 hour time frame, where we shall be looking out for trading opportunities. So on the daily time frame, well, we can see that price has finally broken that consolidation phase. Remember, we had a consolidation phase between the $93.50 level here. That's the resistance point where we have been witnessing selling pressure in the last couple of months. Then we also have a support level for the channel around the $76 and $78 area, which has been serving as a demand zone in the last couple of months as well. So price has been caught within this channel, further emphasizing the indecision in this market until the early days of this week, when we started witnessing selling pressure, which we also took advantage of at the beginning of the week, which finally led to the breakdown of that demand zone to give us a bearish signal. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of a structure like this, we should be expecting that one point in time price is likely going to come back, do a retest of structure with selling pressures on our lower time frame to join that decline to the downside. So we have the breakdown of the demand zone here at the $76 area, and price has moved to as far as the $71 level in the last 48 hours. And what we have here is something that looks like a consolidation phase around this area. There is an indecision here. But if we look at the candle that closed yesterday, we can see that this candle closed in the form of a shooting star, which is a reflection of strength of the sellers at this point in the market. So we have something that looks more like a breakdown, a retest of structure yesterday, a sharp rejection of that structure, and then price closed below that level, somewhere around the $72 level. So as we head into the New York session today, what is going to be our expectation here on the US oil? So it's important we understand what is really going on around the 71. Is it the 71? Yeah, the $71 level, which is going to be the support level for today. So we are going to be using the 71 level as a support area, where if we see a breakdown of that $71 level, followed by selling pressure below that structure on our lower time frame, we might be looking forward to selling again the US oil. And if you look at the structure here in the last, in the later part of this year, we saw that we have been on a bearish momentum since the month of June, and we had this bearish trend line figured out. And you can see the trend line has been holding selling pressure before we witnessed the breakout of that trend line here in the month of October. And we had the retest of that structure again here. We saw selling pressure at the 93.50, which pushed price further to the downside. So is it possible that price might likely come back to do a retest of that trend line one more time before the incitation of another bullish wave? So we don't know yet. So this is why we want to see what is really going on here. And like I said, we are going to be having a support level at the $71 level. And if a breakdown of that structure happens, then we might likely be seeing price coming back to do a retest of that structure. However, if we start seeing buy pressure right above the $71 level, which we shall be identifying on the 1 hour time frame, then we might be thinking of joining a counter trend opportunity back into this demand zone area at the $76 level, with the hopes that probably price might retest that structure one more time to send price crashing to the downside. And we shall also keep our options open for a possible trend continuation to the upside as well if price moves in that direction. So with that being said here, the next thing we want to be doing here is to scale down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what is really going on around here, and our participant in this market has been relating to the $71 level since in the last 24 hours. So in that regard, we shall be scaling down to the 1 hour time frame so that we can have a better perspective into what is really going on here. So we are right back at the 1 hour time frame. In fact, we have a messy chart right now because of the huge consolidation phase we have been witnessing since price tested the $74 level. Remember, we took advantage of this bearish momentum since the beginning of the week as price moved to as far as the $71.55 level. So for the sake of clarity at this point, I would like to delete some of the structures we have here so that we can have a clean chart. So give me a moment. Let's just delete all these ones here so that we have a clean chart to work with. All right, so let me delete this. Do we still need this one? Okay, I think it's 74. I'll delete this one. I'll delete this one, no longer needed. All right, so we identified a simple structure on the daily time frame, and that's the $71 level. In fact, it's not that 71 really, but $71.22 area. So let me readjust the structure to fit into the present structure that we have here. So we have the $71, let's call it $71.40 level, which we shall be looking at our price action will be relating to that structure. Now, if we look at what has been happening here in the last 24 hours, we saw that as soon as price got into the $71.40 level, we have been witnessing buy pressure from that area. We saw that happen here during the New York session yesterday. We saw, in fact, at the close of the New York session, we had another buy pressure around this area, which you can see price was staying at around the $71 level for over 2 hours, which is evident as the bullish gap we saw here. And then during the early hours of today, we have been witnessing buy pressure again from that $71.40 area to further emphasize the strength of the buyers at this particular point in time. And so, like I told you on the daily time frame, I will not be selling here because of this demand zone that we have witnessed in here. And as you can see, since on Wednesday, we saw this impulsive move to the downside. And if we looked at this one too as well, we saw it here. And price has been unable to break the structure. So for me at this point in time, I will be waiting for price to break down the $71.40 level to give me a signal that sellers are still very strong in this market. So I want to be seeing a situation where price continues to break down the structure with selling pressure below that $71.40 area for me to be joining that decline to the downside. So at this point in time, to be selling the US oil, we want to be very patient here. We don't want to jump into any unnecessary trade at this particular point in time. Remember, we are still very profitable on the US oil, and we don't want to lose any of the money we have made so far. And the reason why I'm not going to be selling here is simply because of this demand zone here. We can see all attempt by the sellers to break this level in the last 24 hours has been negated by buy pressure. So we want to see the buy positions here taken out in such a way that the breakdown happens. And if it happens, a retest of structure or probably selling pressure below that level should inside that wave to the downside. So the other scenario we shall be looking forward to during the New York session today is if price breaks out of the $72.40 level, and that is it. And if that happens, then we might be seeing a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure where the $72.40 level will be serving as the neckline of that structure. So if we are going to be having a breakout of that neckline at the $72.40 area, probably if we are lucky enough to, then we start seeing buying pressure above that level or around that area on our lower time frame, then we want to be thinking of buying this commodity right above the $72.40 area, which at this point might likely be a counter trend opportunity and will also be a retracement of the impulsive move that started this week. So since the beginning of the week, we have a huge impulsive move right from the $82.50 level into the $71.40 area. That's over $10 thereabout. That's a huge gap. That's an impulsive move. Then if price breaks out of the neckline, that was identified as $72.40, then this might likely be a retracement into our golden zone area, which I would like to identify for the sake of clarity. So if we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through the previous impulse leg, we should be aiming at somewhere between the 78.6 and the 50% of that previous impulse leg as an area to look out for TP target for buyers. Then it will also be serving as a sell window for those who are willing to wait out for the counter trend to mature before joining that decline to the downside. So this is what we are looking at. Let me give this a yellow color for the sake of clarity. So we have this figured out at this particular point in time. So what we are saying here is if price breaks out of the $72.40 level and coupled with buying pressure right above that structure, then we want to be joining the counter trend opportunity with a take profit target sitting between the $77 area and the $79.50 or the $80 level, where I said if we start seeing selling pressure around this area, we might want to be looking at selling the US oil from that level. And if we look at the structure where this TP target zone is, it also shares a confluence with the $79.50 level, a major key level that was broken right at the beginning of this week. That was on Monday. So we might be having a situation where price might come back to do a retest of that structure. So these are my views here on the US oil. So if you have any questions regarding what I've just explained so far, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. And I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chats and see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the next pair. So we have Salinas, good morning to you. We have Dorothy, who Dorothy wants us to do gold. Yes, we are going to be treating the gold. Gold is one of the instruments we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week, and definitely we are going to be treating that. I think after we take on the US tech, we are going to be treating the gold next. So I would advise you to stay tuned in so that you don't miss out on the ideas we shall be sharing